A very good afternoon, Team Zimbabwe. Maswera say, Maswera say, Maswera say. So we are reflecting on what is happening in the nation of Zimbabwe. And today we are taking a look on what Daddy Hope here raised. Very key points raised here. So in a tweet, he said that there has been propaganda to lie that Zimbabwe can't access credit lines because of targeted sanctions imposed in 2001. Zimbabwe's lines of credit were cut in 1999 because it stopped servicing its debts due to looting and was hiding the DRC war costs. So this is a revelation, a well-researched revelation done by Daddy Hope here. And it's true that if you take a look onto these reports, in 1999, this is a report which is right on the screen from the Guardian, which says Zimbabwe loans cut off as the leak shows war costs. So in terms of that, the World Bank suspended 140 million, that was 87 million euro loan to pounds, not euro, to Zimbabwe. Yes, and the government of Robert Mugabe had lied about what was happening in the DR Congo. So it was being accused of taking money and finance the Congo war. And that is around 1999. Yet the sanctions came in 2001. So if you take a look on the relationship between World Bank and Zimbabwe, it was not about the US sanctions which were imposed in 2001. This is about Zimbabwe and its transparency with the World Bank, with the IMF, and their relationship went sour, and they failed to actually agree. That led to the suspension of funding to the government of Zimbabwe. So he says the current president, Emerson Mnangagwa, confirmed the astonishing levels of massive looting of public funds in 1996 when he addressed Zimbabweans in New York. He said that public funds were being dished out to ZANU-PF political elites who didn't pay back those funds. Let us hear.
AG, 3 years ago, we put aside $100 million. And they said, IPO, IBDC, AAG, come and collect. In the second year, we said, when we give you money, you don't use it to pay all the debts. You must use it for new projects. So we didn't give 100 million, we then gave 400 million. And again, we are unable to trace it. The third round now, we are sitting on 700, deciding how to give it.
We have already set up an infrastructure in South Africa. We want to institutionalize it with permanent staff who will be looking closely into the setup of the fund, the establishment issues, the structure, governance, and the project pipeline, and to be able to come back to investors with concrete information on possibilities.
It all began in South Africa.
So these are the issues which are happening. They confirm themselves that they have been looting since time immemorial, and this is a great research from the DOP. When Zimbabwe was confronted about the looting of public funds and failure to repay by lenders, Robert Mugabe and the ZANU-PF government threw toys out of the pram and said that they walked away from the World Bank and International Monetary Fund. Did that happen? Yes. Timrana Mugabe vanetsika yekuti mukangoti dai todai. That is the reason why they withdrew from the Commonwealth, is because vanhu vaiva vekuti hatiudzwi zvekuita, isusu tiri vana chamangwiza. And when things come back on them, they start to cry foul, they start to throw tantrums on other people, accusations on other people. But will that solve the situation? It won't solve the situation. So according to this report, Mugabe cut ties to World Bank, and it was Mugabe who walked away from the World Bank and IMF. not the other way around. So the coming in of sanctions, according to this justification, it becomes difficult for ZANU-PF to say it's because of US sanctions. That is the reason why we are failing to access money on IMF or World Bank. That won't be true. So, number 4, the late Zimbabwean economist John Robertson explained in simple terms said that a bank doesn't lend you money because you didn't pay back the last time they lend you money. It's not sanctions. And honestly, if you take a look in your own society, in your communities, kune munhu anotonzi uyo akwereteswe. Reason why munhu iye achizonzi akwereteswe inyaya yekuti munhu asingadzosi zvikwereti, atora zvachose haadzoki nayo. That is the reason why you see people having such conclusions, and that is normal to our banks. If you don't pay back, they don't give you. That is the reason why vachida a record yekuti wewe unombodzora here zvikwereti. Sometimes they need reference from other banks. Zonenge wakambokwereta unodzora here zvikwereti. Those are key issues there. So you take a look and see, Kuti, each and every time there is misrepresentation of facts. And misrepresentation of facts is wrong. That is the reason why we need these leaders to take responsibility and make sure that they present facts as they are. So Kuda Anzi, we will ask this again. It will be misleading to say there's no sanctions on Zim. As for instance, you can't get paid in Zim by Twitter X if you are based in Zim. Okay, you want to be paid by whose company? That is very important for us to know, because remember, Zimbabwe is destroying relations itself. So you see, Guti, you cannot blame that on sanctions. Let us hear the response here. You want to be paid in what currency? The failure to have a recognized currency is a sanction against citizens from ZANU-PF. So, if you take a look on South Africa, they get their payments in rands. In Botswana, they get their payments in pula. In other countries, kwacha, like for Zambia, Malawi, kwacha. So you see that all those issues, they are key. So if it is a policy from X to say we have to pay, but we pay in your own currency, then there is nothing we can do to deal with that. It's about currency, not US companies prohibited to venture into business with Zim. People are paying for Twitter X in Zim. Which currency are they using? So this issue, I don't believe that there are sanctions. Remember, YouTube in Zimbabwe, it makes payments to content creators in Zimbabwe. Why is it that YouTube, an American company, is not sanctioned, and Twitter, an American company, it does have the same sanctions being applied? So you have to actually take a look onto that and understand. Remember, Google is being used in Zimbabwe. People are getting money through Google AdSense, from websites, from some Google products and everything. So I believe that it's a bad policy which is on X, not because of which is not influenced by sanctions, but influenced by X itself. They have their own reasons why they are not paying the people of Zimbabwe, or they are prohibiting such payments to Zimbabwe. So you need a Stripe account, which is only available in 40 countries. It has nothing to do with Zimbabwe sanctions. Unfortunately, leading self-taught and self-appointed techno gurus has been misleading people about X payments issues. Okay, the irony is they use Zim credit cards for X verified blue tick and turn around and say Zim sanctions prohibit X from doing business in Zim. Okay. So I think this is a valid issue being raised here. It's about some services which are not being offered in Zimbabwe, which have nothing to do with sanctions or any other thing So I believe that it's on X, it's X which must extend their methods of payments to other countries, and it's not an issue of sanctions. So you will see that this issue of misconception then destroys everything, because people will run with the false narrative on how they are being affected by A, B, C, D. So sometimes lack of knowledge, sometimes uh, lack of services in the nation of Zimbabwe which support some of the things. Because remember, Zimbabwe itself is down, and Zimbabwe itself is difficult to deal with. Remember, Starlink wants to come to Zimbabwe, but you are told application yakauya, the application will go for review, will do A, B, C, D. How long is it going to take for you to approve Starlink to work in Zimbabwe? Starlink is already working in Zambia, it's already working in Mozambique. All those issues, they affect your country because of too many protocols. Zvofana kutanga zvatoenda kumukuru kumbononzi tozviita here zvozonzi chivabvumirai, and that makes serious companies avoid working with your own country. So that doesn't have anything to do with sanctions, and I agree with the Dirty Hope there. So it is what it is in Zimbabwe, and I just decided to bring these issues where Dirty Hope was explaining the problems we have, which is ZANU-PF blames on sanctions, which are not actually sanctions. It's because of failure to have viable policies. It's because of ZANU-PF behavior, which is awkward and difficult to comprehend. So it is what it is. Let us meet in other episodes as well as other